Welcome to the Metagame with Oni Black Mage, and today we're covering Dragon Age Origins. Now, Dragon Age Origins is a real-time action RPG with customizable character generation that includes not only face maker and gender choice, but a lot of skill selection and attribute control. Unfortunately, there is no co-op, but you do get to command a party of yourself and up to 3 other allies from a potential party of 8 other NPCs, whose AI you can tweak for various conditions, just like Final Fantasy XII. Now, this isn't a grind-heavy RPG, thankfully, as the game does level with you, as shops and enemies scale with you. And while it has a good number of small side quests, it's actually more of a dialogue-heavy game than anything. Now, going into this, Dragon Age Origins has a save system in which you can have as many save slots and characters as you have memory for, so don't worry about making multiple saves as often as you want. There is no New Game Plus, but what's nice is that any specializations you do unlock for all current and future characters across all profiles. Now, as far as missable things, there are a couple of missable things, but they're really mostly only side quest related. You can miss anything in Ostagar, the Kokari Wilds, or Lothringen once you leave it because those towns get destroyed, and anyone in Redcliffe Village dies if you leave before defending it, so keep that in mind. Additionally, you can also miss out on recruiting allies such as Zev, leliana, and Logan if you mess up the choices. You can also lose an ally during a lot of character-specific confrontation points, so make sure to catch those opportunities when they come in. Now, a couple general tips to get you started in the game right is make sure to keep your idle characters well equipped, for at the end game you're actually going to be forced to use them instead of your main party. There's actually a couple points in which your idle characters act. As far as who you should have, I heavily recommend having a mage, preferably Morrigan, due to her versatility and specialization in ice spells, ice being one of the most universally adept and capable spell schools out there, mostly due to its freezing, its slowing, your shattering, and it works on just about everybody. You don't have to worry about AoE spread damage. In addition, I highly suggest having a rogue in the party because you will come across many locked chests. Now, as far as the character customization itself, what you want to do is keep in mind your skills, your attributes, what you want to do, as well as what skills you want to allot. Now, warriors and rogues, you obviously want 4 in combat training to get all your talents, but mages should also put 2 in there to prevent casting interruption for the majority of things. Since this is a very dialogue-heavy game, make sure to put 2 in coercion very early to avoid many doomed conversations, or to save characters in duress. But I definitely recommend putting 3 or 4 if you can afford it over the course of the game. Also, because there's so much stress on your party members, make sure to keep all your party members happy. If you keep them at least 50% happy, you'll actually get additional dialogue choices when you do come at ends with characters. You won't end up having to kill them. You can actually negotiate with many of them and prevent them from leaving. If they are unhappy, they will leave regardless. Now, what's important is knowing exactly what will keep your party members happy. Keeping them in your party is something to keep in mind because your reaction to conversations, they interact as well. If you choose and talk to them favorably, they're going to enjoy you. You have to keep in mind their attitude to general conversations. Sometimes they can help you out with particular character choice options when talking to specific NPCs, but to be honest, I'm the type of guy who prefers to keep my allies who have a lot of funny conversation choices. So a lot of people have group synergy and there's a lot of chemistry between characters, so however you want to play. I'm not exactly here to tell you about that. However, what you do want to avoid when you're keeping in mind your party and their attitudes is to avoid pissing them off. And this mostly involves you making choices and depending on who's in your party. Depending on who's in your party, they may not care or they may severely disapprove. It really depends on your choices. Like I said, don't piss them off too often or they'll leave or completely ignore your commands in battle. But that's not necessarily always an irredeemable fact. It goes both ways. To improve their attitude, there are lots of gifts you can buy from shops or pick up from chests. A lot of characters have a particular taste towards gifts, so keep that in mind. So lay down the gifts, it'll increase their happiness. Later I'm going to show you a duplication trick on how to especially exploit this. But talking to them also has added benefits of increasing their attributes, allowing them to gain new abilities and empowering the characters even more. So just make sure to keep your party members satisfied, because it is a party game and you definitely are rely on them as they're going to rely on you. Now, this concludes part 1, and in part 2, we're going to cover not only exploits and a couple cheats, but also my personal recommendation for a path that you might want to consider taking over the course of the game. Thank you for listening, and this is the MetaGame.
That's excellent advice for anyone.